Hi, it's Dawn, Red Barn. I'm back with some more colors. And confession, I have colors I've never used, and I have probably had them, excuse me, in my stash for more years than I'd like to confess. But with some of my other swatches, I've been leaning into the Primatech lately, and so I bought this one recently. It's called Mummy Bauxite, and I have no idea what that color looks like, although it looks like a pinky brown. And it looks, here it is on the palette, it looks kind of pinky brown, maybe hard to tell on camera. The rest of these I've had, but they're new to me. Yep, that's the confession part. Actually, Potter's Pink is new as well. I got at the same time I got the Mummy, but these other four I had already and never have been opened. Shame on me. Rose of Ultramarine. I was influenced. I saw somebody use it once, and I ordered it, and that was probably 5 years ago. It's been sitting in my little box of paints waiting for its day to shine. Quin Violet, Perylene Violet, and then Quin Purple. And I love quins, so I'm excited to try both of these quins. I'm not a purple person at all. I lean towards teals and reds and pinks and greens. But Potter's Pink I've not tried before, as I mentioned, so I'm excited to try that. That looks really burgundy right here, but we'll see. Or like a mauve. I grew up calling it mauve, whatever. So we're going to just kind of see how this whole little purpley, pinky, browny little exercise goes. These are all freshly... I'm using my dollar store plate again. Oh, I did it in reverse order. I should have gone this way with it. But I did reverse order of my palette, but oh well. As long as I remember, who cares? So these are all fresh. These are all wet. They haven't had a chance to dry down, so that always changes how it looks too. But I'm excited to try some new, especially a Primatech. I'm on a quest to get all of the Primatechs. I think I was standing there in the art store the other day when I bought this one. And I was looking, and I think I'm like only 4 or 5 shy of having all of the Primatech colors. But, you know, maybe that's all of what they had, and there's more, and I just don't know it. Anyway, move these little soldiers to the side. Pull the palette in closer. I may have to shift this camera a little bit. I may have not set this up very well, so pardon the jiggle. Ugh, I hate it when I don't have it right. Trying to get in a little closer so it's easier to see the pigments. Okay, let's start with the Potter's Pink. Let's move the water to the purple side. Clean water, and we aren't going to rinse the brush much. We're just gonna, the goal is to get it all the way down to the no pigment left in the brush. Starting with our new Potter's Pink. I have heard about this color for years. From other people, other artists. I listen to them, and they talk about how much they love Potter's Pink, and you know, it's just one of those things where I've never bought it. It's a little on the pricey side. I can't remember what series this is, actually. It's only series 3. I was thinking it was 5, but it's only a series 3. The higher the number, the more expensive it is. If you didn't know already. Most of you probably do. This looks very purpley brown, and it's very gummy, very gooey. And I really like the deep pigment for this first cell. So I don't like having to get too much water. Let's go and get some more pigment. Feels like that binder is just all I'm moving around here. I know it's not, but it's what it feels like. This Potter's Pink is, it actually leans a little purple, it feels like a muddy mauve, a purpley mauve. Yeah, this is just, I think if I recall from what I've heard other artists say, is that this is a granulating pink, or granulating pigment. How many pigments is in this? That's the other thing I'm trying to pay attention to, is how many pigments? Gum Arabic. Yes, thank you. That's the vehicle. How many pigments? Why is it not on here? Pigment. Chroma 10 Pink Sphene. Sphene. Well, oh, there it is, PR233, so single pigment. All right. Less talky, more painty. Noted. All right. Still mud, still sticky. Still sticky paint. Nope, I'm still want more pigment than, don't want to water down too much. These color studies have been so much fun to do, and I'm determined to do my whole box of colors. So far, all I've been swatching is Daniel Smith with an occasional oddball thrown in here and there, but ultimately I need to get my other pigments involved, my other manufacturers involved. I don't have that many others. I have a Winsor Newton here and there, which has been some of my substitutes, and then I've got those Mission colors, which I really like, but they have names like bright green. Like, well, what is that? So I think swatching those could be super helpful. As soon as I kind of get through the bulk of my Daniel Smith, I'm probably gonna go. Like, I was looking at my box this morning and I thought, do I really want to swatch out graphite? Do I really want to swatch out sepia? And the answer is probably yes. Probably do. But is that the most exciting color combo? You know, is that going to be the most exciting wheel I can do? No, obviously not. It's not very colorful. All those monotone colors, all those pigment, earth pigment colors. And Dyke Brown and Raw Umber and others, but I think it's still a good thing to do. So I shall do them, and hopefully people want to watch. But if they don't, I'm going to do them anyway, because I'm doing this for me, really. Been suggested to me, and I finally said okay, that I turn the camera on while I do it. Excuse me, I have a frog today that will not go away. This is not as light as I would have wanted. I like this color. I was prepared to love this color, and I'm not loving it. I like it. I'm just not sure this is going to be, you know, that I want to get down to a, for lack of a better word, standard palette. I know that's like really nondescript, but I want to get down to like some of my core colors that I use all the time, or that is definitely granulating though. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to raise the paper slightly so you can maybe. And I'm going to wet some other things. Look how much that thing is granulating, Potter's Pink. I guess what I'm doing is auditioning colors to be in my core palette. You know, a palette of 8 or a palette of 10. And I think working in a limited palette, even though I'm that person who wants all the colors. All right, moving on to Mummy Bauxite. This is Primatex, so all right. And I am casting shadow, and I apologize. We've got a lighting situation today that's a little challenging, but we're going to work through it. Wow. So right off the bat, this feels like Potter's Pink, but warmer. It feels very pinky brown instead of a pinky purple. Looks like a good lipstick color though. Well, they use the same thing. Well, I just marked up my water. Just ran my brush straight into the side of my mason jar. My mason jar is now wearing a very lovely shade of Bauxite. Well, it's pretty pigmented. I like the way this is moving better than that Potter's Pink though. That Potter's Pink was like mud moving it around. This is moving better. Of course, it also could be the age of the tube. The tube could have been sitting in the art store for a long time before I get to it. You just never know. This is a whole lot easier to move, though. So I was in an antique shop yesterday, and they had, one of the vendors had a bunch of rocks, and one of the baskets of rocks was, you know, these big chunky pieces of rock that you can buy and take home, and one of them was Amazonite genuine, and I was like, wow, look at that, in the raw form. I mean, you know it comes in a rock because they grind it up and make it into a pigment for paint, but I was not tempted to buy it and make my own pigment. However, I am absolutely content to let other people smarter than me make the pigments or make the paints and do what they do. Speaking of pigments, if you're ever in Tokyo and you get a chance to go to a store called Pigment Tokyo, go. For anybody that's into color, it's a religious, nearly religious experience seeing all those pigments lined up against that long wall. You can watch videos about it, you can see photos of it. It is something else. Okay, too much pigment there. Let's water that bad boy down. But I watch people, you know, make watercolor, and they get the muller out and get out the binders, and which apparently the recipes are as protected and secretive as the Coca-Cola recipe, which that's fine. But I have no desire to do that. I prefer to paint with it rather than make it. But that's what makes this world a great place. We all have different likes and dislikes. If we all like to paint, who would make the pigment, right? Okay, I'm liking this granulation. I'm liking how it swatches out. I'm not sure this is a color I will keep in my ultimate palette. Undersea green. That's a new one to me. That's a highly granulating pigment with Daniel Smith with Primatech on it. Yeah, that's going to be in my permanent palette. It's already made the cut. Mommy Bauxite? I don't know. Seems unlikely. Moving on. Rose Ultramarine. I've heard a lot of good things about this, but, you know, let's not have the wrong expectation. Let's go in with an open mind. You hear the word rose and you think pink. But I know that with the pigment of, what was it, PV? No, PB29 and PV19. I know it's going to be more purple than pink. And I am right. Wow, that's a man. That is a lot of purple going on here. And that's why once I decided after, you know, doing these two, you know, where am I going to go with this swatch card, this color study card, where am I going to head with it? That's why I decided to go into some purples, because I knew the Potter's Pink leaned with a little bit of, more of a plum, I guess. And I went that direction instead of complementary. I went monochromatic. What is that? Yeah, it's monochromatic, but it's adjacent on the color wheel rather than across. There's a word I'm looking for, and I can't grab it. It's right there at the tip of my brain, but it's eluding me. I do like, in this Rose of Ultramarine that I made way too dark in the second cell, which I'll fix. I do like that it has kind of an opera pink undertone. So this could be an interesting, if you've got a limited palette and you want something with that really dynamic opera fire. Feels like this has a lot of that in it. Not sure, I've looked at the pigments on Opera Pink to know what's in it, but this is very pretty. If you like purples, this is a beautiful, or violets. I guess this is more violet. Okay. Moving on to number 4. Ooh. Need a bit more pigment than that. I really do like these swatch cards. I think I mentioned in another video, I really have a plan to bind them. Organization, sure, but then if I'm needing doing a project and I'm thinking, man, which of those violets do I want? I can have a point of reference. All right, very, very. Why did I even pick up any pigment? I don't know. Well, it turns out it wasn't such a bad idea. Wow, look how pretty that is at its palest. That is quite something. That might be where some of the artists that I've watched really like this color, is they like it really washed out. That is quite something. I like that a lot. All right, moving on. We're moving on to Quin Violet. Quinacridone Violet. She looks really on the palette. I'm not sure the light's catching that very nicely, especially today. But she looks quite pale compared to the Rose of Ultramarine. And look, yeah, she is coming out a bit paler than I would have thought. Wow, she's rich though. She's saturated. See, this is saturated like with two. Like, look at that. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up very well. But that Rose of Ultramarine, you can pick up 2 colors there easily. Especially in that middle segment. We're going to call that the Jan Brady segment. Look at there. She's got some really neat undertones there. I like that a lot, actually. I like it when a color has more than one dimension for you. All right, back to you, Quin Violet. All right. Let's see. I feel like I could get that a tad darker. But let's move on. We can always come back and do some more on top. Okay, that feels like the same dang pigment color. Doesn't feel watered down at all. All right, can we move some up here? Whoa. There's an electric blue under that. All right, put the paper down. This is a little too saturated. I'm gonna pull a little bit up. Okay. Perylene Violet, you're up. It's a really pretty color. I like a lot of these colors at their darkest. Yeah, I like that. Too much water though. This is a nice purple that's not electric. These are, you know, beautiful colors, but they're just not colors I typically lean towards. Where this Perylene Violet is far more. There's a word in photography called dodge. I don't know if that word that's in translates, but when you're editing photos and something's too bright, you go and you dodge it, and just takes that bright spot out of the. It just dulls it. Dodge equals dull. Yeah, that's pretty. That's a nice color. If I need a violet, I would lean towards that. All right, last but not least, I had Quin Violet and I had Quin Purple, but because I already had two violets and I knew Rose of Ultramarine was going to be pretty violet, I picked Quin Purple. Another day, Quin Violet, another day. Be your turn. I see blue popping out in the Rose of Ultramarine. So I see rose now, and okay, I have to stop and show you. Maybe the camera will pick it up. There's a blue that's coming out here. And that Rose of Ultramarine, the ultramarine blue is showing up. It's granulating in that blue. Maybe that's the whole point. Maybe it's like people out there having a V8 moment, slapping their forehead going, duh, lady. It's very possible. But I'm just slow on the memos. Okay, Quin Purple, you are living up to your name. very purple. The line in the movie Under the Tuscan Sun, Diane Lane. And she's writing the postcard for that guy. And she used a phrase, something even, you could taste the color purple in the grapes. This makes me think of that. I know I'm misquoting it, but for those of you who are a big fan of that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go buy a villa in Tuscany. An artist community. All we do is sit around and paint and eat pasta. Oh my goodness. That is pretty purple. If you like purple. Let's see what this wash looks like. I'm curious to how pale this is going to go. Still going to be pretty electric, isn't it? Sure seems that way. Yeah. Very blue. Very blue. Well, there you have it, everyone. You know, if I were to redo this palette, re-swatch it, I would put Powder's Pink and Perylene Violet together. And then the Rose Ultramarine, the Quin Violet, and the Quin Purple. Of course, this doesn't go anywhere in this palette. Well, maybe I'd start with that. But anyway, it's still interesting to see the colors and how they go. And, sorry, wrong direction. And how they dry down. I'll take a photo when they're completely dry so that you can see them, because they always fade a little bit as they dry. But that was fun. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye.